How you doing? I'm Big D. Thank you for stopping in and spending a little time with me today. I'd like to talk about silver. What is going on with silver, especially some of the things that I'm going to share today you might not know. Silver is very, very volatile lately. It went up again to the low 80s an ounce. I'm hearing Japan and China. Silver prices are definitely different than the United States COMEX. Some are saying that they've seen China at $130 an ounce. I cannot confirm that because you have to be able to, everything that I was able to pull up for the last couple of days was in Japan. So Japanese or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to give you some details that I hope is going to help you in your future if you are a stacker, or even if you're considering stacking silver. Now, this moment, right at this moment, I am seeing something in the silver market that I haven't seen as long as I've been stacking silver myself, which is quite a few years now, about 5 or 6. Depends on, you want to talk about the stuff that I purchased back when I was a kid, that's different. That's a lot of dimes and quarters, things like that. When I started getting to the stacking part of it, where I had 1 ounce bars, 5 ounce bars, 10 ounce bars, that was only maybe 5-6 years ago. Now, this is not hype. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not going to go, oh, check on my description below, you can buy silver cheap. No, that's not what I'm doing. This is not a get rich quick scheme either. This is about understanding what the smart money is going and how it's going and what you need to pay attention to right now. I'm going to break it down exactly what is happening with silver and why the next 12 to 18 months could change everything. I need you to know something for me. If you are serious about your financial freedom, if you want to learn how to protect your wealth and grow it with silver, you need to subscribe to my channel, and I do appreciate if you do this. Hit the like button, turn on notifications, because the information I share here, this is the stuff that separates the winners from the losers. You might not think so, but wait till the end. Watch till the end, and then determine if it's something that you want to come back and listen to my details and research before you click off. Silver is not just another commodity. It is not just a shiny metal that sits in a vault. Silver is the most undervalued, misunderstood asset in the entire market right now. And when I say undervalued, I am not talking about 10% upside or 20% upside. I'm talking about a potential move that could double, triple, maybe even more over the next few years, or maybe even sooner. We've seen a lot of movement in the last 6 months. You want to know why? Because the fundamentals have never been this strong. Let me break it down to you in a way that makes sense. In the very beginning, a lot of these things didn't make sense to me until I learned a little more at a time. But some people are ready to go now. So first, supply and demand. This is economics 101. When you have more demand than supply, price goes up. Is it that simple? And right now, the supply of silver is getting tighter and tighter. We're not discovering new silver mines at the rate we used to. The silver has already been mined. The cost extracting silver is going up because you have to go deeper. You have to have different types of equipment, better equipment. You have to process more ore. That means higher production costs. Meanwhile, demand is exploding. And I'm not talking about jewelry demand or investment demand, although those are important. I'm talking about industrial demand. Silver is in everything: your phone, your computer, solar panels, electric vehicles, medical equipment. Every single technology advancement we are talking about as a society requires more silver, including making missiles and components for the military. People usually leave that out. You understand what that means? It's crazy. It means everything that we have, if it stops, we stop. Our technology stops. AI is no longer. Look what's going on with AI. Look what a computer chip for AI costs nowadays. It is unbelievable, and the amount of silver that goes into one computer chip. And it's not like a computer chip in a computer. If you ever pulled one and you look at it, blah blah blah. Okay, it's not like that. They make it crazy for us to understand until you find out it's thousands of dollars for one of these. They call them chips. They make it sound so insignificant. But it means that we're in a transition to green energy, and the more we need electric cars or sell electric cars, solar panels on every roof, we need more and more silver. This is not optional. You cannot build a solar panel without silver. You cannot build an electric vehicle without silver. The demand is structural. It is not going away. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Gold gets all the attention. Everybody talks about gold. Gold is the safe haven. Gold is in the hedge against inflation. I get it. I own a little bit of gold. Very little. But let me tell you something that most people do not understand. The gold and silver ratio is completely out of whack. Historically, silver trades at about 15 to 1 compared to gold. Sometimes it goes to 20 to 1. Right now, we are looking at a ratio of much higher than the historical average. Probably right around 60 to 1 at this present day. That means silver is cheap relative to gold. If you believe gold is going higher, which I do believe, then silver should go higher on a percentage basis. Now, this is the opportunity. Let me tell you why. I am so convinced this is about to happen right now, more than a year or two from now. It's not just about supply and demand fundamentals. It is about what central banks are doing. Look around the world. What do you see? You see governments printing money like it is going out of style. And that's all governments. My apologies. I tried to set it on silent, and it didn't work. It didn't work again. Okay, getting back to it. You see debt levels that are absolutely insane. You see inflation that is not going away no matter what the politicians tell you. When I go to the grocery store, when I pay my bills, I see prices going up. You see it too, obviously. Do not let anyone tell you inflation is under control. It is definitely not. When you have a currency database, when you have governments that cannot control their spending or won't control their spending, people look for real assets. They look for things that cannot be printed. They look for gold and silver. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I have heard this before. It's going on blah, 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 right? People have been calling for silver to explode for years, and it has not happened. Why is that time different? Why is this time different? Why is any time different? I think today and now is here. And why this time is different? Let me say. Number one, the industrial demand side is bigger than has ever been, and they can't smash it down with fake silver certificates, fake paper silver. 20 years ago, we were not building electric vehicles at scale. We're not covering deserts with solar panels. The technology revolution that requires silver is happening right now, not in the future. Number two, we are seeing a shift in how investors think about their portfolios. People are waking up to the fact that you cannot just hold cash and bonds anymore. The returns are not there. The safety is not there. You need hard assets. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Fake paper silver, whatever you want to call them, silver certificates, is fake. You need commodities. And silver is one of the best commodities you can own because it has both the investment demand and the industrial demand and also the military demand that they do not tell you. Number three, and this is definitely critical. The financial system is more fragile than people realize. We had a banking crisis not too long ago. Well, I still think it's there. I think a lot of problems are in our banks. They say it's too big to fail. Right. Well, we saw banks fail. We saw depositors panic. Every time there is a crisis in the financial system, people run to precious metals. It is a pattern that has repeated itself through history. And I am telling you, we are not done with financial crisis. The next one is coming. I do not know if it's next month, next year, but it's coming. And when it does, silver is going to be one of the places people rush to. Let me give you some perspective from my own experience. I have invested in silver for quite a while now. I do want to say this. If you don't have silver, like I say, if you don't own it, you don't have it in your possession, you don't own it, that is something you need to take to heart. It is something that I believe everybody should have some. And there's a very, very small amount of people in the world that own silver. Every year for the last 6 or 7 years, there's been a deficit. We need, say, 1 billion ounces, right? We're at least 500 million ounces light that we do not have. There's no silver, very, very little silver that's actually being recycled, except for people like me, maybe someone you might find on YouTube. But it's not like gold. Gold, you'll find a ton of people doing that. And it is costly to recycle the silver and get it to the form of another piece of metal that you can put in your palm of your hand. I can't stress it enough. The mining companies can't produce enough. Their refiners are working at capacity. The physical market is very tight, and yet the price is not being reflected in reality yet. That is the opportunity. You want to know what's really gets me excited? It's when I see situations where the fundamentals are screaming one thing and the market has not caught up yet. Well, that's a lot to do with the media, my opinion. That is where you can make money. That is where you can get in before the crowd. Right now, silver is that opportunity. Most investors are not paying attention. They are chasing the next tech stock or the next crypto coin. They're not looking at any boring things. They're the real stuff, the stuff that actually has value. But I am telling you, the smart money, the sophisticated investors, they are accumulating silver right now. They are buying physical. They are buying mining stocks. They are positioning themselves for what is coming. let me tell you what's about something that most people do not understand about the silver market. It is one of the most manipulated, most controlled, most misunderstood markets in the world. And that manipulation is coming to an end. When I say manipulation, I am not talking about conspiracy theories. I am talking about the fact that paper market for silver, the future markets, the derivative markets, and is many times larger than the physical silver that you might already possess. You have people trading silver contracts who have no intentions of ever taking physical delivery. They are just trading the paper. And that paper market has kept the price suppressed for years. But here is what is changing. More and more investors are demanding physical delivery. They do not want a contract that says they own silver. They want the actual metal. And when you have that shift from paper to physical, that is when the price has to adjust to reality. The physical market is much smaller than people think. And if a fraction of the money in the paper market decides they want real silver, there is not enough to go around. That is when you get a squeeze. This is when prices go parabolic. I have seen this happen in other commodities. I've seen it what happens when the physical market gets tight and everyone realizes the emperor has no clothes. It is not pretty if you are short, but it's beautiful if you are long. Let's talk about geopolitical situations, because there is another huge factor that people are ignoring. Silver is not evenly distributed around the world. The major producers are Mexico, Peru, China, Australia, Chile. If you have any disruption in those countries, if you have political instability, if you have labor strikes, if you have environmental regulations that shut down mines, the supply goes immediate. It gets hit immediately. And we are already seeing this. We are seeing mines struggling and with permitting. We are seeing commodities and communities, we are seeing communities push back against mining operations. We are seeing governments in Latin America talk about nationalization resources. All of this creates supply risk, and supply risk means higher prices. Now I want to talk about something that is very close to me, my heart. Political portfolio construction. I understand risk management a little bit. I understand diversification. And I'm telling you, if you do not have exposure to precious metals in your portfolio right now, you are taking more of a risk than you ever have realized. Most people think they're diversified because they own some stocks, some bonds. They're not diversification. That's not diversification. That is having two different pieces of paper that are both depending on the same system working. Real diversification means owning assets that are not correlated, assets that perform when the traditional system is under stress. Silver is one of those assets. Two stocks are crashing. When bonds are selling off, when people are panicking about the dollar, which they are, the ones that know about what's going on with the US dollar, silver goes up. It is insurance. It is protection. But here's the best part. Unlike insurance, which costs you money every year, silver has the potential to make you money every year. It is both protection and profit. That is a rare combination. Let me give you some numbers that might blow your mind. the entire above ground supply of silver that exists in investable form. Now we're talking about bars and coins is estimated to be worth 60 to 80 billion dollars. That is it. Do you know how small that is? There are individual companies worth more than the entire investable silver market. They are tech billionaires who could buy up a significant chunk of the world's silver supply with their personal wealth. The market is tiny, and when market is that small, it does not take a lot of money flowing in to move the price significantly. If institutions start allocating over 1% of their portfolio of silver, if sovereign wealth funds decide they want exposure, if retail investors wake up and start buying, there is not enough supply to meet the demand at current prices. The price has to go up. It is mathematics. Now I want to address something that I hear all the time. People say, if silver is such a great investment, why is not everyone buying it? Why are not all these small investors piling in? Because most professional investors are paid to follow the herd. They are paid to own what everyone else owns. If they own Apple and it goes down, they say, well, everyone owns Apple. If you own silver and it does not perform right away, they look like an idiot. They play it safe. They stick with what is popular. But that is not how you make life-changing returns. You make life-changing returns by seeing what others do not see, by having the courage to be early, be understanding of fundamentals that the market has not priced yet. I built a small collection because of my true beliefs. And I'm telling you, I am right about silver. I do believe that. Please see my information in the description below about I am not a professional. I'm just a guy behind a camera trying to give you some awareness. So do your research and make sure you're doing the right by your own family. I believe I've done everything for my family that I can possibly do. Let's talk about solar industry because this is a massive catalyst that is just beginning. Every single solar panel requires silver. There is no substitute that works as well. Silver is the most conductive metal. It is essential for efficiency of solar cells. Governments around the world are committed to transitioning to renewable energy. They are spending trillions of dollars on this transition. The European Union has targets. China has targets. The United States has targets. Every developing country is building out solar capacity. Do you know how much silver that's required in a solar panel? We're talking about millions of ounces per year. And that demand is growing exponentially every year. Don't forget a minimum of 500 million ounces of silver that we're in a deficit every year. Now, right now, solar accounts for a huge portion of silver demand. But as solar deployment accelerates, and it will, that number is going to be even higher. There is no scenario where we hit our climate goals without using massive amounts of silver. This is locked in demand. It is guaranteed, and the supply is not keeping up. The mining industry is not investing in new capacity fast enough. But do you know why? Because For years, silver prices were too low to justify investments in new mines. It takes years to bring a new mine online, new exploration. You need permitting, you need financing, you need construction. And we're talking about a 5 to 10 year timeline before a new mine comes online. So even if prices go up today, even if miners decide they want to invest in new capacity, that supply is not coming online for years. That means we have a supply deficit that is going to persist and expand. That means prices have to rise to ration the available silver. And the silver supply, like I said, is very small. This is basic economics. It is playing out right now. Let me tell you about electric vehicles, the electric vehicle story, because this is another demand driver. The people are not fully appreciating. Every electric vehicle uses significant more silver than a traditional car. We're talking about silver in the batteries, in the charging systems, in all the electronics. As the world transitions from internal combustion engines to the electric vehicles, silver demand goes up. And this is not a small transition. We're talking about millions of vehicles per year shifting from gas to electric. China is leading the way. Europe is pushing hard. Even the United States is finally getting serious about electric vehicles. Every major automaker has committed to electrification. They are building factories. They are investing billions. This is happening, and every single one of those vehicles needs silver. Now, let me hit you with something that should terrify you. If you are not positioned correctly, the correct situation I have been warning you about, when governments print money the way they have been printing money, when they run deficits the way that they have been running deficits, there are consequences. You cannot just create money out of thin air forever without destroying the value of that money. We are seeing it now. Those years, if you look back in our history and you see that it's about every 80 years that our currency failed and we had a new currency step in, so to speak. That's just the best way I can put it. 2025 was the end of that 80-year cycle. We're going to have to see what happens in 2026. Will there be a new currency for 2026? Now we're seeing inflation. We're seeing purchasing power decline. We're seeing people struggling to afford basic necessities. And the response from government printing more money, spending more money, kicks the can down the road. This is insanity. And the people who are going to get destroyed by this are people who hold cash. The people who think their dollars are safe. Your dollars are not safe. They are losing value every single day. You need to protect yourself. You need to own real assets. Silver is one of the best real assets you can own because it has been money for thousands of years. It is recognized as a store of value across every culture, every country, every time period. When fiat currencies fail, and they always do, people go back to precious metals. It is a pattern that has repeated itself throughout human history. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you what separates the people who make money from the people who just talk about making money. It is action. You can have all the knowledge in the world. You can understand every fundamental, every catalyst, every trend. But if you do not act, you get nothing. Zero. So let me give you a roadmap to how to think about silver as an investment and how to actually position yourself to profit from what is coming. First, you need to understand that there is a different way to get exposure to silver. You buy physical silver, you can buy silver mining stocks, you can buy buy silver funds. Each one has its pros and cons. Let me break it down for you a little bit. Physical silver is the real deal. You own the actual metal. Nobody can take it from you. It is not dependent on a company staying in business or a financial system functioning properly. If the whole system falls apart, you still have your silver. This is powerful. But physical silver comes with its drawbacks. You have to store it. You have to insure it. You have to pay a premium when you buy it. And you take a discount when you sell it. And when you do buy it, you got to be aware of the counterfeit silver out there. Now, the spread you can eat into your returns depends on where you purchase it. So physical silver is great for wealth preservation, for that insurance component of your portfolio. But it is not necessarily the best way to maximize your returns if silver does what I think it's going to do. That is where mining stocks come in. Silver mining companies are leveraged plays on the price of silver. If silver goes up 20%, a well-run mining company stock can go up 50 to 100% or more. But why? Because their costs are relatively fixed. When the price of silver goes up, all that extra revenue falls to the bottom line as profit. The leverage is enormous, but you have to be careful. Not all mining companies are created equal. Not all mining companies are well managed, with good assets, with strong balance sheets. You need companies that are actually producing silver, not just exploration companies that are burning cash hoping to find something someday. I've seen investors get burned by putting money into garbage mining stocks just because they are cheap. Cheap is cheap, and for a reason. You want quality. Now, certain funds, these can be good middle ground. To get exposure to silver without having to worry about storage, you get liquidity. You can buy and sell easily, but you need to understand what you are buying. Those are a little more difficult than buying and taking a chance on counterfeit silver. Some silver funds hold physical silver. Others use derivatives. Read the prospectus. Understand what you own. And remember, with an exchange-rated fund, you do not actually own the silver. You own the share in the fund that owns silver. This is a counterparty risk. There is a counterparty risk there. Now the timing, because this is critical. A lot of people wait for confirmation. They wait until everyone else buys. They wait until the price has already moved, and then they jump in at the very top, and wonder why they lose money. That is not how you invest. You invest when you have done your homework, when you understand the fundamentals, and when the market has not fully recognized the opportunity yet. That time is now. Silver is still under the radar of most investors. Yes, there are people talking about it, but the big money has not poured in yet. Institutions are not overweight on silver. Retail investors are not rushing into silver shops. This is the time to build your position, not when it is on the front page of every financial publication. When your neighbor is talking about it at a barbecue. Now, when you can still get it at a reasonable price, um, I want to address something that concerns a lot of people right now: volatility. Silver is a volatile asset. It can swing it up and down dramatically. It has done that today in short periods of time. Like I said, when I first started checking silver out this morning, maybe about 10 o'clock, it dropped from yesterday's high of like right around 83. Well, it was actually late yesterday afternoon. And then I think about 10, 11 o'clock this morning, it was about 78. So you can see how volatile it can be. Depends on how they want to mess around with the fake silver, the paper silver, derivatives, whatever. If you cannot handle the volatility, you're going to go nuts. You're going to panic, and you're probably going to sell it. So hopefully you don't sell it. You know, some people sell when it gets low. They panic. Some people buy when it's too high or higher. It might not be too high because some are expecting silver to pop up in hundreds of dollars. But if you understand the volatility in the price and you pay for the potential of oversized returns, if you can look at 20% drop and see it as a buying opportunity rather than a disaster, you buy when in the dip. If you buy in the dip and you sell when you believe that you're going to make your money and you're good, that's on you. But I'm not selling for a long time. And you can make some serious money in silver. And you can protect your family. The key is positioning. And do not put your entire portfolio into silver. And I wouldn't recommend that. That to me is stupid. This is a little bit like gambling. But as long as I've been in it, silver has always gone up. It might dip back, but it's always increased. Now, what you want is a meaningful allocation that can make a difference if you are right, but that will not destroy you if you are wrong. For most people, I would say somewhere between 5 and 15% of your investable assets is in precious metals makes sense, depending on your risk tolerance and your conviction. Personally, I am in the higher end of the range because I am very convicted about this trade. Let me just say about what could go wrong, because I always want to give both sides. If you get a massive deflationary collapse, if the economy completely falls apart and industrial demand dries up, that would be bad for silver in the short term. But even in that scenario, the monetary aspect of silver would likely kick in as people flee to safety. Another risk is technology substitutions. If someone invents a metal or a material that can replace silver in solar panels or electronic devices and at a much lower cost, that would reduce demand. But I have been watching this very closely, and I do not see that happening anytime soon. Silver properties are unique. It is very hard to replace. Some people say gold will do it. Well, even if it could hold up the heat the way solar panels do, had the conductivity that silver does, it costs a lot more money. Now, governments have confiscated gold in the past. Could they do that with silver? It is possible. But I think it is unlikely with silver because so much of it is tied up in industrial uses. You cannot just confiscate silver without crippling your manufacturing sector. So while there are risks, and there are always risks with any investment, I think the risk reward on silver right now is extremely favorable. The upside is massive. The downside is limited. This is the kind of setup I look for. I'm watching the physical premiums. And when you see premiums on physical silver start to spike, when you see delays in delivery, when you see shortages that tell you the market is getting tight, I'm watching the mining stocks. When silver mining stocks start to outperform the metal itself, that tells you investors are getting more aggressive for more confidence and more confident. I'm watching the gold and silver ratio. When that ratio starts to compress, when the silver starts to catch up to gold, that is your signal to that the move it has begun. And I'm watching the macro environment. When inflation stays high, when central banks are forced to keep printing, when geopolitical tensions rise, all of that is bullish for silver. Right now, all of these indicators are pointing in the right direction. We are in the early stages of what I believe will be a historical move in silver. But you have to act. You have to make a decision. Are you going to sit on the sidelines and watch, or are you going to position yourself for profit? I do believe I have to end it right now, but if you like these types of shows and you like to learn more about silver and precious metals, crypto, a daily prayer, in my shorts, I got a lot of things that are always going on in my head, and I like to help people. That's what my goal is, to help more people. Try to have a great rest of your day, and God bless.